line. So what happened was I have a friend in Delaware. I'm from the East Coast, and I've stayed in Delaware. So that community in that state, it's I've been there. I've stayed there, not for long periods of time, but I don't want to be framed in a place that I go and stay. Obviously, I don't want to be framed anywhere. So my friend sends me a message from Delaware. He says, "Hey, Anomaly, long time no talk." My rapper friend, he's like, "Dude, look what they're writing about you in the Delaware newspaper." He's like, "It's super far left," he said, and he was like, "Dude, they're ridiculous." Like, and I'm reading it, and it says, I forgot my notes, but the headline was something along the lines of, or maybe it's here. Let me see. I got it. So Wilmington mayor appears to endorse white nationalist tweet. And then they used my tweet. I guess another account tweeted it, and he called himself a red-blooded nationalist, and they called him a white nationalist. They said it was a white nationalist trope posted by a far-right Twitter account. And here's the thing. I want to talk about a few things. First of all, I'm not white. I guess you could say I'm white. That's fine. I'm part Puerto Rican. I don't know. Some people think I'm mixed. I am mixed, literally. But Armenian people think I'm Armenian. I'm mixed. So I'm not 100% white, which is fine. It is what it is. Second of all, I'm not a nationalist. If you self-identify as a nationalist, knock yourself out the park. I know there's a lot of people, "Anomaly, I'm a nationalist. I love this country. I'm not a bad person. I love this country." Knock yourself out. That's fine. You can identify what you want. You could be a communist. You could be a nationalist. You could be a globalist. You could be a socialist. It's not up to me. But I'm not a nationalist. I've never identified as a nationalist. I've said I'm not a nationalist. It's not my thing. I'm a human being of planet Earth. I'm an American citizen. I'm common sense. I would say I'm more libertarian leaning, but I don't like the term nationalist because that's not my agenda. Sometimes people who are nationalists are a little too stubborn, and they're too caught up. Whatever, it's just not me. So I see people like, "Oh, now I'm glad you showed your true colors." I've never been a nationalist. I don't want to be known as a nationalist. I'm not a nationalist. It's not my label. It's like saying I'm a New Jerseyan. I stand up for the state of New Jersey. Like, no, I'm a news analyst. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm libertarian leaning. I don't even like the term conservative or right wing. And the reason, for multiple reasons: one, I don't agree with a lot of conservatives or right wing people on a lot of things, but also it's a label, and the media works, and in this situation, it's all branding. And I have to just be honest, conservatives, nationalists, and right-wingers are awful at branding, and they always lose in the media game because they're always getting branded in a negative light, and then they feed into those stereotypes, and they don't do enough to counter it. And I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to counter every false, inflammatory media attack against myself, and let me do it. Don't drag me down and start screeching a bunch of things. That's fine. If you want to be... That's your title, that's great. If you're a Republican, that's fine. I am not, and I'm going to say it a million times, so not to be misconstrued. But it's not a good brand. And first off, when it comes to nationalist, if nationalism is really as bad as they say it is, then a black nationalist would be bad, a Hispanic nationalist would be bad, a Jewish nationalist would be bad, an Asian nationalist would be bad. If nationalism was the problem, they would say that, but they throw the term white on it for multiple reasons. One, they've branded that term, white nationalist, and they've made it a synonym, although it's not, for white supremacist. And then there's really dumb Republicans who play into the whole thing, and then they're like, "Why does everyone hate me?" It's like, because you don't do anything. Like, you just repeat the same 5 Fox News talking points, fall into a bad label, and be like, "What?" It's like, stop. But they branded white nationalists to mean white supremacist, and then they branded white supremacist to be this overbearing, overarching thing that's taking over the entire world, and anybody right of Mao or Stalin or Hitler or right of Bernie Sanders is far right. Even if you're a far left progressive, if you don't agree with the mainstream narrative, if you're hilarious, if you have a sense of humor, if you want to joke, if you are nuanced, they call you far right. So if you want to win, you have to beat their horrible journalism, but also their terrible branding. And I'm not white. I'm not a nationalist. I'm not a white nationalist. I'm not repeating white nationalist tropes. It's totally misleading. It's totally false. And I don't know what exactly they're referring to. It's just their branding terms. And to me, I take that as a direct threat, because when you have mass media nonstop promoting the word white nationalist to mean white supremacist, to mean taking over the world, to mean killing people, to mean all these bad things, and then you write about me in Delaware and call me a white nationalist, I consider that a threat and an attack because you're trying to brand me with something that you're branding as negative and harmful and dangerous, which I'm the exact opposite. And then you're trying to get me hurt. So Delaware Online and whoever the writer was, I consider that an attack. I know that that type of writing is framed in a way to get me hurt and endangered, and I'll act accordingly via lawyers, via my own news analysis in a peaceful, kind, respectful manner. And this is how I'm going to respond to every media attack, because too many people let them get away with it. Too many people fall into their false labeling. Too many people don't fight back metaphorically. And, very few people know how to win. And I know how to win. I don't lose. I don't lie. I don't fall down. I don't cower. I'm not going to be pressured or silenced by either side, the left or the right, which want to stop me at every sense of the way. Every time I say something about Ilhan Omar, right-wingers don't want to hear it. Or I talk about Louis Farrakhan, right-wingers don't want to hear it. Or I talk about Islam, they don't want to hear it. Or I have a nuanced conversation about these things that are multi-layered. I don't care. Right-wingers, just your warning. You're not going to pressure me, you're not going to silence me, and you're not going to coerce me into being anything other than myself. I'm very effective, I'm very helpful, I work very hard, and I'm not you. If you want to take a label, if you want to be a certain person, if you want to watch certain news, God bless you, God bless your family, God bless America, and God bless the world. But don't try to pin me into your mind. Don't try to pin me into your labels. I'm not that, I never will be that, and I'm not going to let that happen. And as for left-wing news organizations or liberal news organizations who have become so shameful, so shameful. I used to lean left because they seemed to be more kind and compassionate. I always used to think the left cared about the environment and the poor people and the Black and Hispanic community. It's always the left. And if you read journalism, not just this article in Delaware Online, but every article and everything they put out, nearly everything, it's so hateful, it's so bitter, it's so negative, it's so spiteful, it's so nasty, it's so dangerous, it's so attacking. It's framed in the most ugly, cold-hearted way, where liberals and progressives have lost all moral high ground that they claim to have. And this is what people on the right or the center or the normal left, even progressives, stand up for me. There's socialists and communists who will stand up for me over fake news media. Thank you, socialists, and thank you, communists, for standing up for me. I appreciate it, because even they'll back me up in these situations. But I'm not giving left-wing media, I'm not giving liberal pundits, I'm not giving low-energy, racist, sexist, xenophobic, hateful, negative, nasty, low IQ people. And I'm not talking about anyone specific, I'm talking about everyone. You don't get the moral high ground over me. You don't get to act like you're so virtuous and you love women and children and Black people and Hispanics more than I do. You're not allowed to call me white when I'm part Hispanic. And this time, I believe, I'm not going to get into race. That's your thing. You're not going to frame me in a light and take away my genetics and my heritage. You can call me Italian, Polish, Puerto Rican. You can say I'm light-skinned. You can say I'm tan. You can say I have long hair. You can say I'm a hip-hop artist who, works with Grammy award-winning producers and has a song with a platinum rock group. You can call me a worldwide news analyst. You could even be like Fox News and call me a self-proclaimed news analyst. You can do what you want. But you do not have the moral high ground over me. I released a video today, Delaware Online. I released a video about self-accountability, self-awareness, gratefulness, the art of appreciation, and how mainstream media is selling pills and lawyers to their audience, and they need to put them in a state of fear, negativity, and anger in order to sell those products. That's what I did today, Delaware Online. You smeared me in a false fake article, a low-energy article, trying to call me and everybody right of, Stalin, a white nationalist. And you know what that does, Delaware Online and the journalist who wrote about it? You know what that does? It actually increases extremism on not only the right and the left. You become an extremist yourself in the sense of you can't even have a conversation. I have a debate platform called Make America Debate Again. You can't reach out to me. You can't laugh. The joke was hilarious. It's poking fun at the fact that, it's hilarious how people blame white people and Irishmen for everything, even though Irish were historically treated awfully. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact. And you can have this altered version of history or try to skew it and act like, oh my God, let's blame white supremacists for the slave trade. Do your history. Look at, the Jewish and the Arab slave trade lobby. That's like the full picture. And white Americans, for 50, 70 years, 100 years, whatever it was before they ended slavery, that's this big of the puzzle piece. It's like they alter and frame history in this crazy way. They're every bit as racist. If nationalism is so bad, Delaware Online, Why not call out all nationalists? Why would you call out white, if that's the bad ideology is nationalism and it's on the rise and it's so horrible, why not call out black nationalists and Hispanic nationalists? Why not do 5 minutes of research and figure out that I'm not even white? Or maybe you're talking about the guy who posted my tweet. I don't know. I made a joke, and now you're trying to tie me in with a whole movement that has nothing to do with me. And actually, I made a video called How to Stop Nationalism, and I actually got a lot of heat from conservatives and nationalists on my page who said, "Anomaly, they're not even listening to what I'm saying." And this is the problem with the left and the right, is they don't listen. You say a word or a label, "Oh my God, Anomaly, don't stop nationalism." Watch the video, right-wingers. Watch the video, nationalists. Watch the video, Delaware Online. Watch the video. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't do shut up for 5 seconds and listen. Stop writing horrible articles and just doing repulsive, toxic journalism that is not helping humanity in any which way, shape, or form. And listen to what I'm saying. I'm telling you, this is why nationalism is on the rise. This is why being too nationalistic is not the greatest thing. This is why being too globalist or self-hating is not a good thing. If you really want to stop nationalism, here's how you would lower it. That's what I'm not condemning any group. I'm saying, listen, I have the solution to stop nationalism if that's what the left wing does, but they just call everyone white nationalists, and they're increasing nationalism. Why has nationalism increased over the last 4 years? Why is it so much more rampant now than it was? It's because the left wing is going crazy and screaming at everybody, being racist, sexist, and xenophobic, hating everything that Trump did, blaming him for everything under the sun, literally being every bit as racist and sexist as they claim to be. They say they're stopping racism, but everything is pointed at white, blah. Everything is against sexism, but they hate men, and they can't even have a nuanced conversation about gender or race without blaming two groups. So it's like, who's really the racist and sexist one? So that actually increases nationalism. So I'm lowering nationalism, and I'm making people who are far right and far left feel a little bit better and come closer to the center. And left-wing radical journalists who can't have a conversation are actually increasing racism on all sides. And honestly, when it comes to Islamophobia, look at the last two presidents and look how they handled the Middle East. Look how many bombs they dropped. Look how many countries that they bombed. Look how many countries that they invaded and had no strategy. Look at the reports from LA Times and other liberal sources that say we were funding two sides of the war and we were drone striking civilians while ISIS was running rampant in Syria, Iraq, and Libya is a complete disaster once we killed their leader. Talk about that. If you care about Muslim peoples, talk about the wars. Talk about the regime change wars. They don't do it because they don't care about Muslims. These journalists, and I'm not just saying Delaware Online. It's all the left wing, what it has evolved into. They just use groups as a shield, and they use these generalizations and try to frame me and others and endanger my life and say Anomaly's so bad. No, I'm telling people to be self-aware, self-accountable. And also, I love my country, and I love the planet, and I love everybody here, and I love citizens, and I love common sense, and I love small government. And what they do is they smear me, they endanger me, they try to put me in a negative light so people hate on me, they try to pressure me into not going to certain events and speaking to certain people and having conversations, and then they want big government, and then they want high taxes, and then they want to put baby murder and call it women's choice, and then they want to be racist, and then they want to be sexist. They're like every authoritarian regime that's ever existed. Racism, sexism, big government, control of the health industry, control over the press, pressuring dissenters. Hello? What does that sound like to you? That's them. Meanwhile, even the people that they critique on the fringes are just like, guys, stop doing this. A lot of right-wingers aren't far right. They're like ex-liberals who are like, guys, stop ruining America. Stop taking over journalism and not being able to have a conversation. Stop calling everything racist and sexist when it's not. Stop painting everybody as a white nationalist, regardless of if they're black or they're Spanish or they're not even a nationalist. Like, what? Can I just be a hip-hop artist who's libertarian and I have valid points and common sense reasons for feeling that way? Because these type of articles increase nationalism. They increase extremism. They increase hate on all sides. And they also are the reason that Trump won. This is why Trump won. This is why I'll never vote for any of these left-wing candidates. It's not because I don't like certain welfare policies and helping the poor and helping minorities. It's because I don't like people who are self-hateful, who are negative, who are nasty. I don't like racists. I don't like sexist. I don't like people who are evil and very, very mean. I don't like people who care so much about feeding into their agenda that they're willing to use the black community, that they're willing to use the Hispanic community, that they're willing to, pin the white working class or Republicans and normal conservatives into this evil group that they've self-branded themselves, and then hate and scream and fight. And if you try to do anything, they just frame you. I am not doing it. And this is my message to the world. You don't have the moral high ground over me. You're not a better person. I could just as easily frame you in an awful light like a lot of authoritarian regimes that you act just like. But I'll treat you as a person. I'll have you on my podcast. I'll say nice things. I'll tell people to be nice to you. I'll protect you. I'll show love to you. I'll pray for you. I'll try to, make you a better person and help you enjoy your life so you don't have to project that negativity onto everyone else. I'm going to do all that stuff. But nobody on the left wing in the modern era, unless you're calling out third trimester abortion and mid-birth and after-birth abortion, which is literal murder, you don't have the moral high ground. If you talk about the wall and you say, oh my God, parents are separating, let's end that act and let's call everybody racist who wants a wall, and you don't talk about human trafficking, you don't talk about the murder and rape rates in Mexico right now. Mexico had the highest murder rate than they've ever had in their recorded history last year, and it's on pace to probably break it this year. They've also had human trafficking, and the rape rate, according to Huffington Post and others, is 80%. Women and young girls coming across the border of U.S. from Central America are getting raped. So if you don't talk about rape and you don't talk about human trafficking, and your agenda is so egotistical and so narcissistic that you judge other people so much and call everybody nationalist to the point where you're actually inviting rape and human trafficking, you don't have the moral high ground over me. None of these journalists have the moral high ground over me, and I'm not going to let them. And the second that anybody tries to frame me like this in a negative light, I'll either talk to legal advice, and maybe that won't work so well, I don't care, I'm just going to consider it, but I'm also going to do an article, and as kindly, as respectfully, as honest, as fair as I can, I'll show you what they wrote, I'll show you who wrote it, I'll show you what they said about me, I'll show you what they said in their article, I'll explain my point of view, and that's how we're going to work. And guess what? I have an audience of, millions of people, and I reach 5 to 20, 30 million people a week. And if you have a couple thousand people who read your article and no one really cares, and half of them are my friends who send me your article and says, look at them lying about you, look at them misleading, look at this awful light that they put you and everybody else in, I'm going to just shine light on it. I'm not going to hate on you. I'm not going to put dark or negativity, or I'm going to make sure everybody that I talk to is respectful and kind and grateful and nice to you as possible. But I'm not letting anyone brand me in the wrong light. Because you have to understand, before I end, guys, because I actually got to run, I have 250 million video views. This is not a brag. This is me as a manager. And if I was a PR person, I'm wildly successful. I have a song independently, no label, no manager, no booking agent. I take 100% of everything that I do, unless I split it with someone who produced it. I am the whole team. I'm the one-man operation. I have 250 million views. That's pretty bigger than news hosts and journalists who get paid six-figure salaries. I have a song with a Grammy Award-winning, one of the best hip-hop production duos of the last decade. They gave me a song for free because they like me. I have a song with a platinum rock group that no one... So the reason I'm telling you this is not to brag. I'm just saying, as my own PR agent and my own manager, I don't have press. I don't have any media on me. They don't talk about me at all. That's fine. Leave me alone. I don't care. Call me a self-proclaimed news analyst like Fox News. That's fine. Do what you got to do. Hire Donna Brazil. Do what you got to do. But don't make the first article about me and then people search in Google about me and it's white nationalist, cement trope. The trope of the white nationalist. You're not going to do that to me. You're not going to bury me. You're not going to book burn me. You're not going to exile me like a Socrates. You're not going to do any of this. You're not going to smear my legacy. You're not going to lie about who I am. You're not going to lie about what I accomplished when I'm probably 10,000 times the human being that you are. When I've probably done 10,000 times the work that you have to better humanity, to stop racism, to stop sexism, to stop xenophobia, to curb extremism. I've done everything you could ever do and 20 times more, journalists and low-energy media people. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to write my history now so you can never do it. And I'm just letting anybody know, You could talk about me, you can cover me, but if you're not honest, if you're not accurate, and you throw these false labels on me to try to endanger me or, defame me or hurt my character, I'm going to shine a huge light on you. I'm not going to do anything mean or hateful or negative or nasty. It's all love, peace, and positivity. I'll probably be your best friend. I'll probably be the friend you never had. And if we were friends in real life, you probably wouldn't act this way. You wouldn't be so cold and bitter and negative and biased and nasty and hateful in the name of peace, love, and compassion, which they don't have. I'll show you the light. I'll make you a better person. I'll expose your work for what it is. I'll be like, you wrote this article? Does a million people want to see this article? Here, look what they wrote, guys. Now let me say my part of you. Let me show videos that I have that completely crush the narrative that you just wrote and actually help. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to curb extremism. I'm trying to stop this left and right divide. And we can never do so when 90 to 95% to 85%, whatever it is, of our media on the television, and they're coming for 100% authoritarian control, is left-wing, extremely radical, compassionate at all, not willing to have a conversation, not trying to look at the difference between a nationalist and a white nationalist and a Hispanic nationalist and a black nationalist and a Puerto Rican hippie who, makes hip-hop music and does news analysis. If you can't figure out the difference between that, and I'm Italian and Polish and Italian, Polish, Puerto Rican, Czechoslovakian, I don't know. I'm not trying to just say I'm one thing. But it's like, if you can't tell the difference from that and you just keep smearing everybody, you're going to have 8 years of Trump, and then you're going to have 8 years after that, and you're going to have so much division and chaos in this country that I don't want. And I really don't want it, but it's like you're starting metaphorical and, in many cases, literal war. You're starting wars. You're pinning religions against each other in many ways and only covering one thing and making people mad and then standing back. And then you're just mashing people together while you're not exploring differences between ideology and religion, and you're not considering what would work, what wouldn't work, how do we solve this, how do we really make it great. You're just hating and hating and hating and dividing and pinning people and endangering people and then standing back and acting like you're such a great people, not racist and sexist. And this is not to anyone in specific. This is my message to the entire world and to the entire media. You don't have the moral high ground over me, not even close, not even remotely close. You don't have the label high ground over me to just call me, smear me with false labels that I don't accept, that I never will accept. You can call me, right-wing and conservative if you want, but I don't even like that labeling, because the right wing is annoying to me, and I think they're awful at a lot of things. Conservatives, I'm not saying people in the chat, people are like, Anomaly, it's not all of us. I'm not saying that. It's just that's not my tribe. I'm just being honest. I'm creating my new tribe. Anomaly, that's my name. If you look at what anomaly means, it means nothing like anything else, a deviation from the normal. I chose it because it was very accurate to how I am. I'm different and I'm unique. And that's great. You could, throw a little label on me if you want. Yes, I like low taxes and personal liberties. Yes, that's obviously more conservative and libertarian, but I don't want to be smeared and hated on. I'm building my own brand. I'm building my own label. I'm building my own group, and you're not going to smear me in the media falsely and also tie me to these groups it's a white supremacist, white national. I made a funny joke. It was hilarious. It was very honest, and Irish people loved it. Liberals liked it. Hispanics liked it. Black people liked it. White people liked it. Conservatives liked it. Progressives liked it. It was hilarious, and it was funny, and it might have hit too close to home, so it bothered people. And it's rooted in truth. Look up the history of the Irish in denser servitude, and also look up the Armenian genocide. Look up the slave trade before America existed and how many white people have historically been enslaved that they never talk about. I don't know. Maybe do an article, Delaware Online. Maybe do an article about the 20+ million people who are still enslaved today in African and Middle Eastern countries. You won't talk about that. You just got to talk about false labels and slavery from 300 years ago so you can manipulate people into literal slavery today. And that's what a lot of mass media does, is they use the straw man slavery, don't tell you the full argument, and then we love Muslims, but we're gonna ignore regime change wars. We love Muslims, but we're gonna ignore the fact that China has them in concentration camps, according to some reports. We love the blacks, but we're not gonna let them think for themselves or believe that the Second Amendment might help them, and the First Amendment, free speech, and also the right to a fair trial is what we fought for. In the Emmett Till situation, we had no right. It was just that woman said that. And then we grew as a country, and all people of every race, religion, and gender got the right to be believed before the court. But now they're like, we hate you, and we're going to use women as a shield to then attack everyone else and say there's no way that the truth or logic matters. This is not going to work on me. This is not going to fly on me. And quite frankly, I'm not like other people. I'm not going to hate. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to be nasty. But I will not let you brand me incorrectly. I will not let you subvert the entire country into complete pathetic hypocrisy. And I consider it an attack. I mean, if you brand me in that way, in that horrible negative light, it's an attack on my character. It's an attack on my brand. And it's also an attack, literally, when you have millions of mentally ill people committing suicide left and right. We have an opioid epidemic, and people hate themselves. I don't need any more attention in a negative light. I get enough attention on my own. So please don't go there. And I'm just saying there's going to be, a response from me. I'm not somebody who's going to sit in the corner and take it. I'm my own person. I'm my own brand. And you're not going to label me with who you've painted yourself as the coldest, worst, most horrible group in this country, especially when it's all race-based, when the truth is nationalism isn't race-based at all. There's millions of Black and Hispanic nationalists. And also, I'm not a nationalist. I'm just not. If there's people in the chat, I am a nationalist. That's great. Congratulations. That's fine. I'm not. And I'm not accepting a label that I've never accepted, and I've said millions of times I'm not. It's not my thing. It's not how I identify, and I don't think it's effective to identify as that. And I am what I am. I'm an American citizen, and I want to help, and I'm also, if you want to be quite frank, I'm part Puerto Rican, so I'm not white. But what is that? Before I leave, I want to just say real quick, what does that tell you also about how racist the left wing's becoming? If, say I was 100% white and I wasn't Puerto Rican, because I am, but if I wasn't, now I am white. I still wouldn't be a nationalist, but if I was a nationalist, then I'm a white nationalist. What does that tell you about how racist they are? Do they care about the ideology? Do they think it's really dangerous? Or is everything they do a persecution on men and white people? Why were they so mad at that tweet? What bothered them so much about that tweet? Was it the hilarious humor in it that everybody liked? Was it the fact it was standing up for Irishmen who are, I don't know, what color is their skin? White? And they were, in servitude, and they were treated horribly historically, and they were racially treated. Does that bother people? Does it bother people when I talk about South Africa and I use clips of South Africa and I use clips of people chanting "kill the Boer, kill the farmer," which is the white farmer? Does that bother people that I'm standing up for white people all across the globe, and Black people and Hispanic? Do you want me to be like you? Do you want me to hate white people? Do you want me to hate men? Do you want me to ignore genocide? Do you want me not to talk about the Armenian genocide because it was, 1.5 or so Muslims killing Christians? Do you want me to ignore the persecution, the 20 people who got murdered and the 100 plus people that got attacked in a Philippines church a couple months ago that no media covered? Do you want me to not talk about the 150 Nigerian Christians who are getting slaughtered? Do you want me not to talk about that because they're Christian even though they're Black? Now you don't care about Black people? Do you not want me to stand up for white people, excuse me? Do you not want me to have a conversation? Do you think I'm just going to sit here and let you just pound and pound on men and white people and conservatives and label them all falsely while you continuously just try to abort babies of every color and say, you're so horrible, we hate you, we love everybody else, but we hate you? We're going to ignore all these ideologies across the country, whether it's from different, literal countries or actually religious ideologies that when they get into power, they're anything but liberal. I mean, it's either like communists like a China or an old Russia where they take control of everything, which is not liberal. And also they persecute Muslims there. And, Chinese and a lot of Asian cultures in their countries, they're not open arms. Like they're like 100-something refugees you'll see in Korea and Japan. They'll start protesting. They're not liberal. They're not American liberal. And when it goes to Islamic countries in the Middle East and also Africa, where's all the slavery? Where do you think it exists? In the Middle East and Africa. Where do they not treat gay people well? You love gay people so much, don't you, like me? Well, I'm not saying I'm gay, I'm saying I love gay people. I love the LGBT community. That's why I tell them, you wouldn't do so well in Pakistan or Iran. You wouldn't have Pride Month. I guarantee you wouldn't have a month where you dress around in rainbow colors and dance around naked in the streets. It wouldn't fly. And so I say those things, but does left-wing media, do these journalists and these news organizations, do they not want me to say that? Do they think that I'm going to allow them, like many others do, just flip-flop and lie? You think I'm going to allow them to just crush people and crush the elderly, hate on the elderly, hate on a specific race, hate on a specific gender, silence the history of many people, whether it be the Irish or the Armenians or the Americans, to be quite frank? You think I'm just going to let you silence our history and crush us off of Google and put me in that? No, I know how these people work, and it's all authoritarian. They do. First, they write the article. This is why, first of all, they retracted it mostly. I still don't like the way they put it. They still use my tweet in it. And I mean, you know, I'm going to make a full video about it in a second. But first, they label you as something you're not. So white nationalist, horrible, racist, far right wing. And then they use that and then clips out of context to show organizations, speech organizations, and, you know, operative groups. And they say, look, right wing, look, and that's how they started the whole dossier thing or whatever. It's like they created their own news themselves. They reference their own lies and mischaracterizations. And then they show that to people and say, look at the news that we lied about and we misled about. And then they go to these groups and then they go to tech companies and your advertisers and say, you know, you got to get this guy off because he's this. And then they read that and see one debate I did where I have all sorts of debates. I have, you know, people that are quite wild from the left and the right who, you know, I want to converse with. I think that's important. And my inspirations do that type of stuff. They speak and they have conversations. They don't just hate and write about people all the time like low energy crabs or crablettas, you know, female low energy crabs, whatever, guys and girls. It's all equal with me. There's crabs on both sides. But I'm not going to just allow these journalists and news organizations to do that. And I will, you know, this sparked an energy in me, and it will continue to do so as it has over the past 2 years. But I'm not being branded. I'm not being lied about. I'm not being pressured. I'm not being censored or silenced by fake news that you yourselves created. When my track record, my music, and honestly, my videos speak for themselves. And yes, I'm going to have conversations you're not going to have. Yes, I'm going to talk about race, religion, and gender. Yes, I'm going to go there. Yes, I'm going to have people on that you might not agree with. But guess what? All my stuff's solution-based. It's actually helping. And this left-wing strategy of just doing how they operate, they're not only becoming extremely authoritarian, but they're actually expanding racism, sexism, and xenophobia through actually being it. And also, you know, firing up extremists without having conversation and pushing people into these categories they don't want to be into. Therefore, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of, look, they're growing, they're growing, they're growing, they're growing. How is this group growing? How is this group growing? How is this group growing? Oh my God, this group is growing. Why is it growing? Why did Trump win? Because you threw everyone into a group they didn't want to be in. And at a certain point, people say, okay, I guess I'm a Trump supporter. Okay, I guess I'm right wing. I guess I'm definitely not. Oh, why is it growing? It's because you guys suck so much. And this goes to all media. This is not a specific message. It's to the whole world. You guys suck. You're awful. You create racism. You write racism. You create sexism. You are sexist. You write sexist articles. You have no capacity for critical thinking and common sense debate and dialogue, so far to the point that you don't even see people. You think it's all white. I'm not even all white. I'm part Puerto Rican. You don't care. It's white, black, white, national, trope. It's like, have a conversation, have some dialogue, because you're becoming everything that you claim to fight. You are expanding every extremist group that you claim to stop. And I will continue to call out people on the left and the right with horrible strategy. But my God, left-wing media and journalism and mass culture has become so evil and hateful and negative and nasty and awful and disgusting. People on both sides need to be like, listen. And I know people are like, I get it. Like that. It's like, guys, I'm not bending over. I'm not backing down. And I'm certainly not letting people brand me in an awful light. They need to learn and help people, because they're not only crushing the left wing and emboldening the right. It's like, we hate the right wing, so we're going to push people to the right, call them further right than they are, tell them the right wing when they're actually far left progressives, then it's going to grow and we're going to act like it's bad and we're going to call everybody white nationalist supremacists because we don't understand any. It's like, it's so goofy. It's straight embarrassing. I'll make a new video about it. They semi-retracted the article, but they left it up. It's a horrible article. It's horribly written. It's horribly framed. It still puts me in a bad light. It still puts my tweet next to all these white nationalist tropes. And, you know, journalism goes two ways. Media goes two ways. And my platform's a little bit bigger than your whole news organization. So, you know, it might get a little dicey out there. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America, and God bless the world. It's all love, it's all peace, it's all positivity. And I just want to say too, to this news organization and such, guys, show them love, show them respect. Don't be mean, don't be nasty, don't be negative. As always, you know, that's not my style. But I don't, you could say something if you want, if it's constructive and critical and to the point and honest, but don't be mean, don't be nasty, don't be hateful, don't be negative, don't stoop to that level. That's never what I want. That stuff doesn't help me. It doesn't help when people, it does help that you guys share, subscribe, and show love. I appreciate you. I love you more than you can imagine. I really do. But don't help me by hurting me. You get what I'm saying? That's why I say with the comments sometimes too. It's like, guys, you could comment, of course, show love, free speech, but like, don't be the type of person that people go to watch my videos and then they read the comment and like, I don't like these people. You know, that's a big problem the right wing has, is like, it's very unlikable and it's very stale a lot. I'm not saying so I read the comments on my page. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes you guys are, most of the time, you guys are hilarious and insightful and intelligent. I feel like I have the best audience. You guys are hilarious and most of them are great. You're mostly amazing people. But I'm just saying, just we all have to think about that. Because like a lot of why people don't understand why we can't get together and like people don't understand low taxes and personal freedom is because there's not a good, way to get that message. There's not a lot of people getting that message out there in a good way. And I'm trying to do that, which is why I'm not going to let a news organization slander me and put me in this ridiculously awful light that's going to make me feel uncomfortable in places that I go often, to the people that read their disgustingly awful, journalism, which is, I don't know if it's even that. It's like, man, we got a long way to go. But God bless you guys. I appreciate you. I'll be back later. And sign up to my free email list if you don't do anything. Also, I think Facebook's adding some sort of subscription thing. And I don't know. I put it in. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me know if you can see a subscription thing to subscribe. When that kicks in, that could be very, very beneficial to me. It's like $4.99. It's not here yet, but they said I could keep 100% of it, which is epic because they're testing it, and I guess they chose me as a selected tester. Even Facebook realizes. They're like, anomalies chill, we'll let them test this. So when it comes out, it's like $4.99, and I'll do private live streams, like question and answers with you guys. Only people from now on, I'll do it. And I'll do my regular live streams, but I'm only going to do the like private question and answer ones like once a month or maybe once a week. But that could be very, very profitable for me. And not like, haha, I'm rich. But like, guys, as an independent content creator, they're constantly trying to kick me off and censor me and silence me. They won't put me on Fox News. They certainly won't put me on liberal news. Nobody seems to want to, work with me or book me for events. And I'm not saying that to be mad, but I highly appreciate the support. And if with 600,000 people, I mean, do the math. Obviously, I'm not going to get everyone to subscribe, but even if I can get like 1% of my audience to subscribe, that would be epic. And then if I get more, 1, I can not be poor when I'm old. 2, I can pay taxes at the end of the year, most importantly. But 3, I can build and, create new opportunities for other people too. I'm looking forward to doing that in the future. I want to stay small, but I want to, got to be able to compete with the big boys at some point. God bless you guys. Have a good day. I'll be back.